I recommend saying it and even writing it.
Okay.
So we can do this alone without.
I don't recommend doing this alone.
Why?
Hmm?
Why alone?
Because the whole intention is to bring an accompaniment to the child who got the no, which developed the belief. And you don't know where that's going to go. And you don't know how intense or overwhelming that might be. And if you get fully pulled into that child's experience, you need someone else to be the accompaniment. You don't know what you're going to regress to and how that's going to be. So that's why, yeah, do this with company.
What's the warning sign for the accompanying person?
Yeah, what's the worst that
That this person has gone into a deep space. Is there some sign? Because, say, I'm processing, and then is it I collapse, or so I'm also responsible for making sure accompaniment happens somehow, or is better or not?
Well, the only responsibility for the listener is to be an open, available presence. As a person processing, I would also like you to take responsibility for retaining your own adult presence. So the idea is not that you regress fully and become the child identity. If you feel like the intensity goes over a limit where you're not sure it's going to be overwhelming, it's going to take you fully in, then slow down, keep your eyes open, look around the room, affirm and check that your physical body is safe, so that anything that would feel threatening or intense that could be overwhelming is not coming from outside you in this physical space. Remind yourself even out loud of where you are. I'm in the Tibetan pavilion. Remind yourself of what year it is. It's 2025. Remind yourself of your own adult age. And ground yourself in the adult identity so that there is an adult to meet the child. Integration only happens when there is an adult who meets the child. If you just become the child, it's called re-traumatization, and it's not called integration. So the two parts of reparenting and integrating the child parts are the child, accessing the child, which this is meant for, and meeting the child in your adult presence. So establishing that adult presence is also fundamental. And this is called titration. You step into the adult, I am the adult. You step into the child, I access the child. I could even become and immerse myself in the child experience if I have enough confidence that I can then step back into the adult. And you go back and forth, because the adult needs to meet the child, so that the child is held in a loving, unconditional presence and not alone again. Titration. It comes from chemistry, where if you mix two elements together, there's an explosion. But if you put a drop, and then you leave it to react, and then you put another drop, and you leave it to react, then you can mix those two elements together safely, because you did it drop by drop and gave it time in between. So it's a bit the same, like we borrowed the word, the psychologists, borrowed the word from the chemists, because it has that same principle of you take it easy, little by little, drop by drop. You meet the child, you make sure you've got your adult identity, you meet the child. And when you've established it very well, you can titrate very spontaneously, very fluidly. In the beginning, if child parts get overwhelming, then you need to very consciously reestablish your adult, loving, compassionate presence. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what's up?
Can you
So what I mean by meet the child is, when you're feeling the intensity, you acknowledge that it's a child's intensity. When you're crying, you're acknowledging that you're crying tears for a child who didn't get to cry enough at the time. And as you're doing that, you're still centered in a compassionate presence that is available to hold that experience of pain and to welcome those tears. You might even have a memory or an image of a child in a situation, and then you bring empathy to that child in that situation. Empathy means acknowledging how it might feel, how hard it must be, and giving it a full yes, of course it is. Meeting it, meeting that experience there as it is. With this self-compassion presence, which means, and it can be this way forever. I'm not trying to heal you, I'm not trying to change your experience. I'm here fully available and present to experience this aliveness, which is my aliveness, held since that time as it arises now. Trusting that within that aliveness is an organic wisdom which will unfold itself because I'm here to meet it. Does that give you the sense?
Question, I didn't get that. You said the first time you hit it, you can stop.
Yeah,
So did the child integrate with the adult in your demo?
to some extent, yeah. Yeah. I didn't dwell in that. I didn't do the whole self-compassion part because I didn't want to take more time. But yes, I met a 2-3-year-old little boy who's sitting a bit sad. He's by himself. He kind of squeezing his legs, and he's like touching himself because no one else is touching. And he wants to feel that, but it's sad to get it from himself. And I'm like, yeah, I see you. I feel that. I can feel that sadness, and oh, you'd want some other hands and some other body warmth and some other holding, but instead you're sitting alone on the ground. And that's the integration, that's it. I'm with you. I get it. I feel it. The innocence in it. Just want to know that you're loved. As soon as I talk about it, I feel it more. I can drop in. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone need anything so you can do the practice?
Can you just repeat it shortly?
The steps.
Yeah.
So you think of any judgment you have about yourself, a negative judgment. At all, any at all. I'm not all that clever. Whatever it happens to be. You ask yourself the question, if that is true about me, what does it mean about me?
You ask yourself or the
You ask yourself.
loud.
Aloud. And even written. And you write yourself.
And the person
He's listening and watching you. That's all. You ask that question again and again and again, attuning and being available to the very first response, the impulse response. Not thinking about it, not trying to analyze, what would it really mean, not projecting, just, if that is true, what comes up? The next and the next and the next.
And sorry, I noticed that you start always eyeing. You don't to maintain it as a judgment.
It's usually going to be another judgment, yeah.
No, yeah, but we don't go into stories.
No stories.
Yeah.
Just the next judgment.
Yeah, only judgment.
And it might start with I'm, it could be phrased in any which way.
Okay.
Until you reach something, I'm calling the first bottom is when the intensity reveals itself. And then your writing becomes shaky like this, and you know you've reached.
Run out of paper.
And then you bring self-compassion. You stop writing, you put down your pen, you might close your eyes, and you start a self-compassion process with also the question, how old am I? What is happening for this child? Yeah.
So the helping person just listen.
Listens and then enters into that compassionate presence mode where you're saying, yeah, I'm hearing that you're 3. Yeah, and this 3-year-old is it's really hurting right now. Reflecting as is necessary. If the person is in their flow, you don't interrupt them because don't try. Yeah. Okay?